Okay, so we've added imaginary numbers, we've multiplied imaginary numbers, we've rationalized denominators with imaginary numbers. So I guess we're ready to solve equations with imaginary numbers. And here we are. Again, notice the difference because it's about making choices. And so at this point our choices are solve quadratics using square roots or solve quadratics using factoring. If I'm going to use factoring, I'm going to want to set everything to one side and put 0 on the right side or left side, whatever side you choose. But you're going to get everything to one side and set it equal to 0. If it has a linear term, I tend to go with that maneuver. If it doesn't have a linear term, notice there's no p to the first power, then I probably just use square rooting. So when I want to use square roots to solve, what I want to do is isolate the squared value, in this case p squared. So I'm going to choose to add 9p squared to both sides, and simultaneously I'm going to subtract 7 to both sides, and thus beginning the separation of my quadratic term from my constants. 3p squared plus 9p squared is 12p squared. 7 minus 7 goes to 0, negative 9 plus 9 goes to 0, and 4 and negative 7 is negative 3. I'm going to divide by 12, and I'm going to divide by 12 because 12 is attached to p by multiplication, sort of an algebra 1 skill. And I'm left with p squared equals negative 1/4. Not too shabby. I'm going to take the square root of both sides to isolate p squared down to p. And I'm left with a little bit of a situation on the right side. I got this negative square root, but I know that negative 1/4 is the same as just negative 1 times 1/4. And the square root of negative 1 is I. So we're going to put our little trusty plus or minus out there so I don't forget. And I'm going to drop in my I. And don't forget that our properties of square roots say that if you have the square root of 1/4, it's the same as saying the square root of 1 over the square root of 4. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. So our final answer here is plus or minus 1/2 I. And again, just to break out of that negative 1/4, what you have is negative 1 times 1/4. That's what gave me that negative 1/4, which essentially is negative 1 times positive 1 all over square root of 4. So there's my I, there's my 1, and there's my 2. All right? Hopefully with a combination of all these little tricks, you'll be able to tackle any square root problem at this point.